I want you to picture something for a second. You are sitting at your kitchen table and in front of you is a 1,000-piece jigsaw. So you've got the box, you've got all the pieces, but somebody has torn the lid off. So you have absolutely no idea what it is that you're supposed to be building. You don't know what that picture should look like to be put back together. That is the reality for the majority of people who are in property sourcing right now. And I want to be really clear, because it's not your fault. You are not lazy, although some people absolutely are. But if you're listening to this podcast, the chances are you are not a lazy person. You are not stupid, and you have not failed. You have just been handed a box with no picture on it by largely people who are profiting from keeping you very, very confused. Welcome back to today's episode of the podcast. Today I want to go deep on why so many people are stuck. And it's not, guys, it's not because that you don't know enough, but because nobody has ever actually given you a plan or a real plan and what that actually looks like when somebody does. And I want to speak directly to someone right now. And that could be you. That could be you right now listening to this and thinking, that's me. You may have invested. And look, when I say invested, I mean spent real money, anything between 3, 5, 10, 15,000 pounds on some form of property education. And in many cases, some of you have spent more. You might have sat through webinars, you've bought the course, you've joined the community, you went to the live events. Yet on a Monday morning, when you sit down to actually do something, you still don't know what to do first. You're probably drowning in information. You know what a HMO is. You know what a flip project is. You know, if you're following me, that BMV is not the way to do a property sourcing business. You might know the difference between a lease option. You might know the difference in an assisted sale and a delayed completion, but you haven't done a single deal. That is the worst bit of all of this. And you've probably been second guessing yourself. You've maybe blamed yourself. You think I'm doing something wrong. I need to watch another module. Maybe there's a strategy that I haven't learned yet. Maybe I could look at that. And what do? You go further down the rabbit hole and you start looking at shiny penny, and the overwhelm gets increasingly louder. And that particular cycle, more information, more confusion, zero action, that is not a you problem, you will be glad to know. That is entirely a plan problem. And for the most part, people in the education space in property, and I can only speak on sourcing, they have absolutely zero incentive to give you a plan. They have zero incentive to prepare a plan. In large, property education businesses actually sell you, and I'm not saying this to throw shade. Well, actually, I guess I kind of am, but it's true. I see a lot of these big time educators, they're selling a massive menu of strategies, They teach everyone regardless of their situation. And they're of the opinion that the more modules that they have, the more value, therefore it's a higher price. There's no order of operations and it's a one-size-fits-all curriculum. And in these scenarios, you are one of literally thousands. And I look at what we do inside the six-figure sourcing blueprint, and I'm thinking, why isn't everybody else doing this? It's one clear strategy. We specialize in one clear strategy, property sourcing, which is also known as deal packaging or portfolio building, as I prefer to call it. And everybody gets a completely bespoke blueprint that is built around them and their personal circumstances. And it's built after spending an hour with me on Zoom and prepared by me. And that sequence matters. That direct step-by-step approach matters. Our guys have direct one-to-one support from me, not a stranger. So when they get up on a Monday morning, they know exactly what it is that they need to be working on. It's built around their life. It's built around their situation. It's built around their goals. And everybody in our mastermind, we know by name. We know what they do for a living. We know if they have kids. We know what their pastimes are. We know if they're a big sports fan, rugby fan, football fan, horse riding fan, into dogs. The big reason large education companies sell a buffet is because they have to appeal to everyone. They have to appeal to the person that wants to do the flips. They have to appeal to the HMO investor. They have to appeal to the person who wants to, get into commercial to residential development. They have to appeal to the landlord that wants to be completely hands off. They have to appeal to the person who wants to start sourcing. So they teach everything. And then you're sat in the middle of it all trying to work out which plate you have to pick up first, and all that happens in that scenario is that you end up completely paralyzed. And to use a bit of an analogy around it, I suppose, like, you wouldn't go to your GP, right, your local doctor, you wouldn't go to your GP and expect them to perform brain surgery. I certainly hope that you would not do that. Specialism exists for a reason. Generalism in property education costs you thousands, literally, but also thousands on deals. When somebody's trying to teach you every strategy, they're teaching none of them with the depth of direction you actually need to go and make money. And in relation to that support question, this matters more than a lot of people talk about. When you're stuck on something in a big program, who do you speak to? A Facebook group? A WhatsApp group with 1,500 people in it? A junior team member who's maybe never sourced a deal in their life? That's not mentorship. That's not mentorship. That's customer service wearing a cloak. So what does a map actually look like? Well, it's not more information. It's not. It's a sequence. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Do it in this order for this particular type of deal, in this particular type of market, for your specific situation. A plan is not a module in a library that you can browse. A plan is knowing that when you wake up on Monday, as per your goal, if you do this one specific thing, and when that thing is done, you move on to your next goal. That's what gets deals done. Inside the six-figure sourcing mastermind, every single person who comes in gets a bespoke blueprint, not a template, not a framework that somebody else has used. They get their own, built around their own time, built around their own money, built around their area, their existing skill set, their goals. A single mum doing this around a 9 to 5 needs a completely different game plan than someone who's just been made redundant and has a lump sum ready to go. Those two scenarios, although they are both trying to achieve the same goal, their two scenarios are completely different. So a copy and paste template will not work. It has to be bespoke. It has to be tailored to you. Off the rack just won't work here. And when they get stuck, and when you get stuck, and you will get stuck, just as an FYI, it's part of the process. Everybody does. When you get stuck, you speak to me directly, not a team member, not a moderator, me, because I have done this. I am doing this, and I know exactly where the roadblocks are before you even hit them. The knowledge that you've collected from other programs, to not all doom and gloom here, although it sounds like it, but the knowledge that you've collected from other programs, it's not wasted. The pieces are there. You just finally get someone to help you work out what the jigsaw should actually look like. Look, if today's episode has hit home or hit a nerve or resonated with you in any way, I want you to hear this. The fact that you have maybe not yet done a deal is not evidence that you can't. It is evidence that you haven't had the right support, and there is a difference, and it's a big difference. If you're ready to stop collecting pieces and actually start building something, I would love to have a conversation with you. There's no pitch here. It's a conversation. We'll look at where you actually are with things, what you've already got, maybe what you don't have, and what a real plan looks like for you specifically. The link to book that particular call with me will be in the show notes below. Just check below the show notes. It's a completely free call. It'll take between 15 to 20 minutes. And look, if we decide that the six-figure sourcing blueprint isn't the right fit, at least you'll leave the call with more clarity than you've had from anything else that you have invested in. And that's a promise. Thank you so much for listening today. If this landed, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. There are many of you out there, because I guarantee that you know someone who has sat on a pile of knowledge going absolutely nowhere.